It's only a game. Why you have to be mad?
What's up guys, and welcome to FPL Today, and in today's video we go over the team selection and yes, the active wildcard for my side in the Fantasy Premier League. In this video we're going to quickly go over how I did in Game Week 2 and then talk about my new team lineup for Game Week 3 and why I've gone the way I have. So let's start the video by quickly going over how we managed to do in Game Week 2. And I transferred out Son, yes, I transferred out Son for Bruno Fernandes, and Ryan Brewster came in for Callum Wilson. Now, I think that Newcastle side aren't going to do as well as they did against West Ham, against other sides, so Callum Wilson comes out, and St. Maximin was soon to follow. That's now been forced by the injury he got. But yes, really hurt by bringing in Bruno Fernandes for Son, but it was a move I had been planning if I wasn't going to bring in Bruno Fernandes for Salah. So there's a bit of regret that I didn't either bring in Bruno Fernandes for Salah or just hold the team and then have two transfers for Game Week 3, but we've done what we've done now and we have to move on. The main performers were Trent Alexander-Arnold and Justin, both getting 7 points apiece. Trent from a clean sheet, Justin from a goal in a 4-2 victory for Leicester. Aubameyang getting a solitary assist as my captain, which got him 10 points in total. Not ideal. It would have been much better placed on Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who got 17 points from a hat-trick in a 5-2 win against West Brom. And then Timo Werner did win a penalty, but the penalty wasn't put away by Jorginho against Alisson, so no points for Werner, but again he did look dangerous in spurts. And then Mitchell doing what Mitchell does with points on the bench, and Vinagre actually started because Marcel picked up an injury, so that would be one for me to watch to see if Vinagre can actually get some game time. That gave me 54 points, but I did take a minus, putting me down to 50 points when the average was 59. That has given me an overall rank of 745,576, with an overall point score of 136 2 game weeks in, which isn't too bad, and I'm still not in a terrible position to move forward on. And I think I've seen enough in the first 2 game weeks and kind of know the players that I want to hit that wildcard button. But with the games played, I'm also looking at the underlying stats to make sure I pick the right players for this wildcard team, and I've been getting those stats from Fantasy Football Hub. Fantasy Football Hub is one of the fastest growing communities for fantasy football in the world. It has amazing tools for you to use, like player comparison tool, so you can pick between the likes of Mohamed Salah and Sadio Mane. It's also got a great Opta-Stats table which you can filter to your heart's desire to find the players that you need to be putting into your fantasy football sides. Also included is a fixture ticker that will give you ease of fixtures for both attack and defence, so you can pick the players that have the fixtures to really hit that good run of form. And there's so much more, like articles by some top rated managers and coverage of all other fantasy football games like Fan Team, Sky Sports, The Daily Telegraph and Sun's Dream Team. And on the plus side, all of this can be found on a fantastic mobile app for you to tinker your sides on the go. So make sure to become a member of Fantasy Football Hub from only £2 a month. Links in the description. So the wildcard has been played, and we start off with a change in goalkeeper because McCarthy just wasn't doing it for me, and the player that I really liked from the end of last season has moved to Aston Villa, and we are going with Martinez in goal for 4.5 million with Nyland as his backup. Also, we can quickly cover the bench. We have Burke in because he was playing up front as a £4.5 million midfielder, although I don't expect many goals from Sheffield United. Lamptey, he is an injury concern, but I really do want him in the side, so he makes the bench. And Mitchell, of course, stays in the side because right now he looks like a very decent £4 million option, now at 4.1, to keep in my side until potentially he gets ousted by Van Aanholt, but by then hopefully Ferguson will be able to come into that slot. We then go on to the defenders, and surprisingly, Kyle Walker-Peters has kept his place because he did have some attacking threat in that game against Spurs, and whilst I'm not that keen on Southampton's defence, I do think there is some attacking potential for Kyle Walker-Peters in that 4.5 million price bracket. Alexander-Arnold stays, although I was very tempted, and it could still happen for me to change to Robertson because that gives me 0.5 million to spend elsewhere. And Taylor comes into the side as well because Burnley's defence generally are decent, although there is the likes of Castan and Reece James, as well as Seiss, or a Wolves defender that I would be very interested in having in that slot. The defence hasn't been overhauled completely really. It's mainly getting out the likes of Vinagre and Justin, because Justin just doesn't look like a good defender to me. I know he has popped up with an assist and a goal in the last two, so he could come back into the side. But if I want a lesser defender, I kind of really want Castan because he looks pretty damn good in that role. And I do worry that eventually Justin will lose his place when Pereira comes back. We then move on to the midfield, and to join Burke, who is on the bench, we have brought in to join Mohamed Salah, who keeps his place with Arsenal at home next. De Bruyne, who's got Leicester City at home. He looked great in that Wolves game, and I think Man City are really going to push for that title. And I think Kevin De Bruyne is going to be a big part of that, especially if he plays as advanced in the way he did against Wolves. So I'm very excited to be bringing in Kevin De Bruyne. Kind of wish I brought him in instead of Bruno Fernandes, and then maybe this wildcard might not have been played if I already had De Bruyne. But to join them two is Son coming back into the side. Yes, another player I wish I'd not got rid of. And again, maybe I wouldn't be playing the wildcard if I hadn't got rid of him. But Newcastle at home next is a good fixture. I do have players lined up for Son when the fixtures get a bit more difficult, and players that I probably prefer over Son, but just with Newcastle at home I thought let's give Son another go at it and see if he can keep that form up. But generally when someone has such a good scoring game week, the next game week they do nothing, so that's most likely going to happen there, so I might transfer him out. But Barnes and James Rodriguez are both players I'm considering to put in that slot, which would give me money to spend elsewhere. And they're joined by Podence from Wolves, who looked very impressive in not only the game against Man City, but in other games and the end of last season as well. Now with Jota making the move to Liverpool, I think Podence could definitely be a main feature for that Wolverhampton side, and at 5.5 million I think he's a great replacement for St. Maximin. I did look at some Leeds midfielders as well for this slot. I do like the looks of the likes of Klitsch because he's on penalties, and Costa both look good in the game just gone. But up front we do have a Leeds player, and it's a placeholder really, probably a bench player, because I'm still not sold on his finishing completely, and I want Leeds to kind of create more chances than they have been. But Bamford does come into the side with Sheffield United away next. And then the front two pretty much stay the same, because I still have high hopes for Timo Werner. He's looked promising. I think the side behind him needs to kind of gel to start creating chances, but it's West Brom away, and I can't really take Werner out for that game. If he does nothing again, or only wins a penalty and doesn't look as on fire as someone like Gabriel Jesus or anyone else in that price bracket, I could of course make the move. And of course Calvert-Lewin leading the line right there in the centre like he is for Everton. And I just think that Everton side, despite the fixtures not being brilliant from my perspective, I still think Calvert-Lewin is going to be the one in there trying to finish the chances the likes of Richarlison, James Rodriguez and Digne create for him. So guys, that is my team selection and my wildcard team selection. So let me know what you think of it in the comments down below. If you do think it's a decent side, give me a thumbs up on the video as well. Just a disclaimer though, this is possible to change, so if you do want to see my final side before Game Week 3 starts, then make sure to follow me on Twitter. Link is also in the description down below for that. And if you want to support the channel at all, hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. It costs you nothing and it keeps you up to date with the videos I release. With that being said, I've been JNO, this has been FPL Today, and remember, don't knee jerk into a wildcard. Bit late for that.